your checks for understanding linked to?
They're linked to the clear objective.
Yeah.
For the lesson.
Yeah. So let's try. Do you have tomorrow's lesson?
Yeah.
That might be it, because that's what I had. I have questions. What do you think led to? I have questions. You might need like a bank of additional questions that you could use in many lessons.
Okay.
But for now, why don't we start there, and then next week, if you still need more, I could give you. I have like 2 other ones.
Okay.
Okay. So tomorrow.
Alright, so they're adding ones and ones or tens and tens by drawing quick tens and ones. So this is a review actually
Okay.
of something we did before break, which today's was also a review.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I'll be in there for Cal too at 2:30, so I can show you some suggestions of how to get that information. Did it log you in? Yes.
okay. So
Good. So let's see.
we have more formulaic or procedural, I guess, than today's was.
But what's the bigger concept here, though?
So you can
Being
search for
able
student,
to regroup,
and then
Yeah.
visually show a regroup.
this is their
Mhm.
contact information.
So
It'll say if it's primary.
What would you want your students to
And
be
then
able to
call,
do?
Like, I would not.
I want them to
start
be
off
able
with
to
negative chromosome. I would like what I used to
organize
do in class is
visually
like, all right, find one student.
their understanding
Well,
of
no, I am
2 numbers,
so
you know,
with
and
how hard you work.
how then
Like,
you can add them together in a way that
And like you're keeping
makes it
details
easier to
yourself.
count
Mhm.
the sum.
Exactly, because if it's not organized, I mean, it doesn't even have to be this way, but if it's not organized,
And
Right.
be like, I'm
then
looking for other people,
big problem.
so
Okay,
great.
so what would be the criteria for success here?
That's a really quick way.
That they're able to
So something
first
to think
see
about.
if they're
And
adding
that's
ones or
established
tens.
positive
Okay.
relationships
Um,
with families for
and then be able to represent that either with
And then it's
the
not negative
dots
too, so
Mhm.
and the X's or with a stick for the tens.
Oh yeah, text it
And
do that.
then be able to show
Are you
um,
going to use the work phone?
the understanding by writing a number sentence to represent it.
But before that, what do they need to be able to do?
They have to be able to show making 10.
Yeah, that's actually a big one, right? Because say that the first one, right? Like they're able to visually
That's great. I would just stick to
draw
work
it
phone.
out. Wait, what was your first criteria?
Since
again?
you have
They have to first know whether they're adding
Oh,
ones or
okay. Or
adding
tens.
10. So
Yeah, that's
16
really
plus
important.
7,
Yeah.
like we need to draw X's, not a stick, right?
When I
Exactly.
was in
Seven
early
sticks.
class, I did
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's actually very important too, because they could be adding tens instead of ones, or a 10 and a 1 together.
Right.
So yes, definitely. The second one is visualized, or like drawing it out in an organized way.
Mhm.
If you don't include them making a 10, then the answer, like they're one gonna get the answer wrong, but 2, most importantly, do they even understand that when you have 10 once, it makes a 10, and that's what you're carrying over?
Right.
That's what it turns into.
Later.
So I would say that out of that criteria for success, number 1 and number 3 are the most important, and then the secondary or the supplementary
like who you are.
criteria for success would be like make sure that it's organized.
But you're still kind of
Okay, so now you know what you want them to be able to do.
cool. Maybe show
So
them
guess what you're
your
doing in your
art,
model.
Like just something that relates to you as a person.
Voicing, I guess, my,
And then, like,
you
make a
know,
story
think
about
out
who
of,
you are, and
oh,
that'll be
I
a
see
really
7
good
ones. How do
exercise.
I remember I have to draw X's to
Mhm.
show I'm adding
And
these 7
maybe it's
ones.
like,
Oh, now I'm going to
Cool.
count and see where's 10. Okay, I'm going to show 10 by drawing the line through. I'm going to show the ones that are left over. Okay, now I'm going to count how many 10s do I have total. After I made that 10, how many 1s do I have left? Okay, I'm going to add those together. There's my sum.
And again, the big point here is that they're adding the right numbers and they're making a 10.
Yeah, I remember this being hard before break too, is how to know, like, so in this visual, for example, how do they know when to come here and start putting these X's here? Like, so they're adding 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, how do they know to come here without them first counting?
Logistics that I have.
Do you think you need to? I mean, really, it's making a 10.
You will want
Like,
to
couldn't,
separate.
so I guess my question is, can't they circle it instead,
Yes.
maybe?
Yes.
Then, I mean, it's okay if these 3 are up here,
Yes.
right?
I would do it that way. Like,
Yeah.
Because you didn't know
if you are doing it yourself, would you do it like this? Like this is one way, but
This
like
is how I would do it because I can visualize easily. Oh, there's 10. Okay,
Yeah.
you know, but they're not.
then do it the way that you know that they're gonna get it. It's still the same. Okay, what's the bigger concept here? Is it using dots and X's and you bring it up here and then you do it over there, or is it regrouping? Right, so regrouping could happen in any way. It doesn't matter if you do 5 here and 7 here. Regardless, you're still gonna put them together and make a 10.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now you have your model. What are the questions that you're gonna ask for the guided
No,
practice?
I just thought she was like a teacher's aide or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How did I know to
Using the
add
printer.
10s or 1s? Or how did I know to add? I guess I should use language. How did I know how to add a stick or X's?
And what do you want the students to be able to say?
Because this says add 7 1s.
Sure.
There's no 10s in that number.
Okay.
There's no 10s.
So
Yeah.
go file.
And then I'd want them to also, or I'd also ask,
And then
what did I do to show?
so go nearby
10.
printers.
Mm-hmm. And their
Um,
answer's gonna
so
be.
the first one
You
is
circled, drew a
This
line,
one?
circled
Mm-hmm.
10. And then
that,
how did I,
and they'll set that.
what, how do you make a number sentence to show
So
your
this one is
thinking?
the color one. And then
What number sentence would show your thinking in this problem?
Mm-hmm. And their
So
answer should
then-
be.
when you print in color,
Either
we
the
try not to
10s
print in
plus,
color.
you know,
We can't,
what's left, or
obviously,
the
but
initial.
you'll need to go. So click on default settings.
Like either 16 plus 7 is 23, I would accept that, or the 20
show
plus
details,
3 is
That's 2
22.
10ths.
Yeah, yeah, this is a step that I think is more confusing. 10 plus 13 is 23. I think that that's harder to,
Because it's a 10 and 13 left over.
yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah.
And then you would print it like that.
How is it going to be
Now
assessed?
You cancel.
Like, with the right answer and an assessment, or we're counting this and we're counting this?
First, click on that to see if it's stored. So this one.
Yes, we're not making them do the 10s.
Yeah, right, because it's a
Equation.
strategy. So then,
Right.
yeah, of course. Then
Yeah.
at that point, yes.
Yeah.
So you will know you're successful if your students can tell you
Is there like all these
the
different
numbers that they're adding together and why.
Mhm.
Right? So something like, I'm adding this 7 and this 6 as ones because it's in the ones place. And I'm adding this 10 and 0 tenths because it's in the tenths place.
So
Or do you want them to be able to say, I'm adding the 6 and the 7?
I think adding the 6 and the 7, I feel like that's the next lesson is we're going to start adding 2-digit numbers to each other.
So I can't
And
remember
that's
if
going to
it's
be then the
like
conversation of I'm adding the 10s and, you know, I feel like we haven't gotten to that point where I would expect them to be able to say I'm adding 6
the ones that says
plus 7 because those are the
that's
ones,
one
and then
upstairs.
1 10 plus
that just
no
prints
10.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So I'm adding these two numbers together. 1.
I'm adding, yeah. And the second add-in
Times.
has no 10s.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
Okay.
7 to 7:45
Two.
in the morning, you cannot access the park.
2,
You will know you're successful if they
if they are able to draw in an organized way to show how many they're adding and show making them.
and then finally
Finally, they're able to find the sum and write a number sentence that matches.
Or you'll park
what misconceptions do you think they're gonna have?
if you don't have the park. And
I
then
think that
afternoon,
a lot of them just revert to drawing dots. That's just
just kind of calmed up.
that's
Sit between
what they
5:30
revert
and
to doing. I mean,
6:30
so
apparently.
as
Oh,
long
like
as I'm
16 plus 7? And
Yeah,
they're
it's
just
like
adding?
Parking lot.
yeah, even like so.
No, that was
Hopefully, if I'm clear with the model, that then they're gonna do well. I also think a big misconception is
Check on that.
just not counting.
I
Or I mean, it's just that it's really, really tedious to make all these little X's and be able to then go back and count and be able to circle only 10, then not include one of the extra ones in that, you know. So
In your intro to new material,
yeah,
you could address those two misconceptions.
Okay.
Like, hey,
And then the
FYI,
operations
if I go
section.
too fast or if I do them all over the place, I'm gonna count wrong.
yeah,
And yes, you could add 16 plus 7
So
by making dots, but today
that's what you do.
we're gonna practice just make that 10, the magic number. So yes, you could add it this way, but we're gonna push ourselves to making a 10.
Go ahead and fill it out.
That's what I'm looking for. Can you make a 10?
Periods or everything that you want.
How did it feel?